To build anything that truly lasts, it takes time.
Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is Times Now Live and I'm Hina Gambhir. Viewers, our focus continues to be the latest as far as Prime Minister Modi's visit to the Maldives is concerned. We are getting live visuals of him participating in the 60th Independence Day celebrations of Maldives, and those are the live visuals that we are bringing for you. Remember, after completing a historic visit to the United Kingdom, where India signed the free trade agreement with the UK after almost 3 years of negotiations, Prime Minister Modi embarked on this two-day visit to the Maldives. This is his second day of the visit, and those are the first set of visuals we are getting for you, where he is on a two-day visit to the Maldives. He was personally invited by President Mohamed Muizzu, and he is attending the 60th Independence Day celebrations of Maldives as the guest of honor. He was accorded a grand ceremonial welcome in Malé. Let's cut across to the latest that we are getting for you.
මේ රස්මියතු ගද්දෙම් ෆෙනි වඩාගෙනවානි ඉමාදුද්දීන් ස්කූලා කලා ෆන්ඩ් ස්කූල්ගේ දරිවරුන් හුෂාලාදේ අයිටමේ මිනිවංකම ෆස්තොලුස්ගේ නමුක හුෂාලාදේ මි අයිට. All right, so those are the live visuals we are getting for you of the celebrations that are currently underway. Let me go across to my colleague Shrinjoy Chaudhary, who is joining us live in the studios here. Shrinjoy, good afternoon. You know, it's a very interesting visit of the Prime Minister to the Maldives, because just 2 years ago, for Muizu specifically, President of the Maldives today, during his political campaign before he became the President of Maldives, he had this India out obsession. He had this pro-China tilt and an India out obsession. From then to now, he is rolling out this red carpet for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Tell us a little bit about, what really changed in last 2 years, and what should we attribute this turnaround really to?
Interesting, yes, of course, and also very important, because Maldives is very close to India, and for Maldives to change its point of view in 2 years is also significant, because Maldives has realized that India is actually a genuine friend. And I'll give you 3 examples, Hina. First, Maldives had a huge shortage of drinking water. Now, can you imagine a country that is short of drinking water? You can imagine food, you can imagine something else, but drinking water? Well, that was the case. And the one country that flew loads of drinking water to the Maldives was India. Now, how can you forget that? Then again, there were these issues that related to security. Now, suddenly, you had smugglers, you had pirates, you had all kinds of unsavory elements in the area. Who helped the Maldives at that point? India. Thirdly, you have issues that relate to finance. You take all these big loans from China, and suddenly you have no money to pay them back. Where do you go to? You go to India. Now, all these things apart, you remember the time when Prime Minister Modi was in Lakshadweep, and that was a way of suggesting that instead of going to the Maldives, you go to Lakshadweep. And from there, today, he is guest of honor in Malé. And it's not just any visit, it's a state visit. A state visit is normally for the head of state, meaning the President of India. Now, the Prime Minister is being accorded a state visit. It's a clear indication that India is now back to where it was, a very important country for the Maldives.
Well, you've raised some really interesting points, and we'll of course be discussing those with you in detail in just a bit. Meanwhile, let's cut across live to Maldives, where the celebrations are underway, and hear what's really happening. All right, so those are the live visuals we are getting for you from Malé, where 60th Independence Day celebrations are underway of the Maldives, and Prime Minister Modi is the guest of honor. My colleague Srinjoy continues to be with us on the broadcast to help us understand the significance of this visit. So Srinjoy, on one hand, of course, there is this messaging that you spoke about. I want to also ask you a little bit about this two-day visit. What is it that India is looking to gain via this particular two-day visit? And also, in terms of relations between both nations, what are we looking at?
First of all those problems that India had with the Maldives, they are in the past. And that's why Prime Minister is there. And this is a state visit, as I mentioned. Now, the important point here is that Maldives has realized that if they need a friend, a big friend in the area, it can only be India. So all this talk about China and India out is actually out, because this ensures that India has one serious friend in the neighborhood. And that's always very important. You want the neighborhood to have good friends of yours. And Maldives has shown that it will be a good friend. Now, this is a strategic benefit as far as India is concerned, because Maldives in the Indian Ocean will play a very important role. Now, if India and Maldives had strained ties, it would give the ability to other countries, namely China, namely others, to actually fish in troubled waters. Now, that's really the bottom line. From now on, India can be sure that Maldives will be a very good friend, and this has important strategic benefits.
When it comes to Muizu, the Maldivian president, can India really be 100% sure? Because, he also broke the tradition of, how a new Maldivian president used to make his first first trip to India. He broke that tradition and he actually went to Turkey for his first official visit. So what he's doing right now in terms of diplomacy, it might be the need of the hour, given the relations between both the countries in the past and the political party that was in power before him that has always been pro-India. So can we really be absolutely sure of Mohamed Muizzu specifically?
Well, Muizu has another 3 years. So it is important to ensure that these 3 years go very well. So for that to happen, Muizu is the one who's invited Prime Minister Modi. He need not have done it. He need not have invited Prime Minister Modi. It need not have been a state visit. But what he has done is actually do everything to ensure that this visit is a big one. Now, if that is so, it shows intent that the people of Maldives, that the government of Maldives realizes that they want India, that they need India. Now, once that intent is visible, then India can be confident that, okay, for the next 3 years, if nothing else, we will have a good working relationship with the Maldives. And Maldives has learned from all their experiences with China, their economic problems that came from this relationship with China, how difficult it was. All those debts are piling up or had piled up. Now, this is something the people of Maldives will not forget in a hurry.
Absolutely. And also how Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself had invited Mohamed Muizzu for his swearing-in ceremony, and the Maldivian president did honor that invitation and was here, and after that he came for a state visit as well in October.
Yes, of course. That's the whole point I'm making. That at this point, both countries have realized that there has to be trust. And this is the way. The Muizu visit and the Modi return visit, and a state visit at that, is a way of building trust. You need trustworthy neighbors. Whatever else you say about any country, if you don't have a trustworthy neighbor, and all you have to do is look at the map and see what lies on the west of India, and you will know why you need a trustworthy neighbor. So if you have a trustworthy neighbor in the Indian Ocean, as hopefully Maldives will be, then India can at least be reassured of the situation in the Indian Ocean for quite a while. Now, this is actually a major step. Prime Minister himself going to the Maldives. He is guest of honor at the National Day, which means that the people of Maldives, the government of Maldives, realizes that, well, we should be good friends with India. And that's all India wants.
But also, Shanjoy, let's tell our viewers a little bit about how the relations really deteriorated between both the countries. Remember, viewers, in 2023, Muizzu advocated for India Out campaign. In fact, followed by that, there were 3 ministers who made derogatory remarks for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And then Maldivian ambassador was summoned by Ministry of External Affairs here in India. Following that, there was a 37% drop in Indian visitors due to boycott Maldives campaign, the social media campaign that started trending after 3 ministers from Maldivian government used derogatory language for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And then remember, viewers, Muizzu told India to withdraw its troops immediately. And then Muizzu's pro-China tilt in a way divided the polity as well as society. And then, viewers, that is why we are saying that from India out, now there has been a turnaround, some sort of resetting of ties is what we are looking at between India and Maldives, from India out policy to a red carpet for Prime Minister Narendra Modi for India is what we are seeing right now. Now, this visit, viewers, is historic. Prime Minister Modi was received by President Moizzu himself at the airport, and there was the grand welcome followed by the grand hug. And then, as I mentioned, that he was invited by Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu for this particular visit. And Prime Minister Modi's third visit, this one, is to the island nation. First visit during Muizu's tenure, and hence it becomes extremely important. Now, he is the guest of honor at Maldives' 60th Independence Day celebrations. Let's also tell you a little bit about how things started improving, really. In 2024, India rolled over $50 million loan to Maldives, and timely financial help by India prevented Maldives from defaulting on its debt. Then in June 2024, Muizu, in fact, was invited for Prime Minister Modi's swearing-in ceremony. And then in October 2024, Muizu returned to India for a state visit as well. And then, viewers, the ministers who had insulted Prime Minister Modi were suspended as well. And now what we are seeing is that Muizu invited Prime Minister Modi to be the guest of honor at 60th Independence Day celebrations of the island nation. Let me go back to my colleague Srinjoy for more on this. Srinjoy, so now clearly something went wrong, and efforts, as we told our viewers, were made from both sides to ensure that situation is fixed. And that's what we are seeing happening right now. And the visuals clearly are telling the story. And many, in fact, have been saying that this is the result of Modi diplomacy, that we are seeing.
Yes. You remember Prime Minister Narendra Modi snorkeling in the Lakshadweep Islands. Now, that was a message to Muizu and the Maldivians, saying that, look here, we don't need the Maldivians. We don't need to send tourists from India to the Maldives. And as you rightly said, there was a 37% drop in tourism. Now, that was something that hurt the Maldives. The other thing was a self-inflicted wound, as you rightly said, by withdrawing the Indian armed forces there, stationed to fly those planes. It hurt medical efforts in the Maldives. If you don't have pilots to take people who are ill and need medical attention from one place to the other, then who does it hurt? It hurts you. And these are things that the Maldivians now are realizing were self-inflicted wounds. Why send away Indian pilots just because they were from the armed forces back to India? And those problems were created by themselves. They have realized that it wasn't necessary.
Right.
In fact, it wasn't even a necessary evil. And they were saying it was more evil than necessary to have Indian pilots. Now they realize their mistakes, and you have Narendra Modi, who was in Lakshadweep at that point. And now where is he? He is in Malé.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Srinjoy. Appreciate you joining us with your perspective on this. Interesting details you've shared with our viewers. We'll, of course, be tracking this closely ahead as well as the celebrations continue in Malé, where Prime Minister Modi is the guest of honor. Let's now move on, viewers, and talk about another big story of the day, and this one is from Karnataka. A major controversy has erupted at Karnataka